Alright, so this tutorial is on the Helpful Heifer, the one that just came out that's exclusive to the Quilted Cow, on their hanging towel. So this is the part where it hangs and it's got this cute little strap. And so we're gonna get into it. That is what the back looks like. Now I used a decorative stitch. You can just use straight stitch. So you are going to get a piece of toweling and you need to cut it in half. So you're gonna fold like short side to short side and to find the middle, and then you're gonna cut it in half. Now how you pleat your towel is totally up to you, okay? You just need it to be about, I don't know, according to the pattern, I think it says, sorry, all right, on the back of the pattern it says not to be any wider than a certain length. So I always find the middle and then I just start pleating it to how I want it, and then I clip it, you can pin it, and then I'm just gonna run a stitch along the top to hold everything together, okay? And then there's the bottom of my towel. So for your main piece of fabric, now the kit can make 2. I ended up getting 4, and I have extra toweling in my stash, and so I had to provide the toweling for 2 of them, but I was actually able to get enough fabric out of for 4 of them. The main fabric I cut the same as what the pattern calls for, but the strap I made it just a little bit smaller. So this fabric and this one all came from one kit, so I made 2. I got 2 mains from the red, 2 straps from the blue, and I have 2 mains from the blue and 2 straps from the red. It's up to you what you want to do. I was just like, well, how can I make this stretch? And I obviously had more toweling, so that blue came from mine and the cream came from mine. But cream matches this perfectly. And I accidentally cut a little hole in my other white one. It's over there. I was trying to take the tag off and I accidentally cut through the fabric, so whoopsies. But anyway, there's 2. So this is going to be so long. This is your main fabric, and then what you're going to do is you're going to take each of your raw edges and fold it under according to the pattern, which I've already done, and then I have just folded it in half and I gave it a good press. Now what you're going to do here, this is the open side, excuse me, and this is the folded edge, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top stitch about 1/4 of an inch away from the folded edge here at the top, and that's what you see here. This is my folded side, and I used a decorative stitch. You can totally use a straight stitch or whatever you want, but I'm going to go ahead and do a decorative stitch. And again, that's the fold right there, so I'm going to I'm going to stitch down on the fold, by the fold. Alright, so it's kind of, I'm using navy. I could have used red, but I'm just using navy, so maybe you can see, yeah, you can see a little bit of it. So I've did both of them because I'm just doing them at the same time. Alright, so now that that's done, this is my, my strap here, and basically how I did it was I took my fabric, right? Let's just say, well, do I have a piece of fabric? Well, I guess I don't need a piece of fabric. Anyway, let's just say you have your piece of fabric, okay? And what you do is you fold it in half, wrong sides together, so you can find your midline. And then you open it up, and then you take one of your raw edges and fold it into the middle and press, and then you take your other raw edge, fold it into the middle and press, and then you just take the whole thing and fold it in half again and press, okay? And then once you have that, I just top stitched on both sides, and this worked better for me. This is what I found. You're supposed to tuck this, it has to go under in between, get sandwiched in between here. And if I didn't iron a little bit of the end in, I just found it hard to tuck it in. So I just took a little bit of the end. I don't even know how much that is. What did I do? Maybe about 1/4 of an inch. I folded it over and I just gave it a good press, and when I did that I found it held a lot better. So here's my open end. It's really hard. Oh, here's my fold, sorry. Let's get it the right way. Alright, so there's my open end. This is where I top stitch next to the fold, and this is where my strap is going to go. So basically you're gonna open that up and you're gonna tuck that in, and I'm gonna pin it, but this part that I ironed in is just gonna fold over one of the edges and get sandwiched in between those layers. And then you're gonna come over here, and it's gonna be a little bit longer. You want this to be a little, see how it's a little bit longer? You want it to be a little longer so it can pull, so the towel can go through, okay? You want it to be a little longer so it can hold that bulk. And so now I just open up between there, and I'm gonna tuck that in, and I'm gonna clip it. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I hope you can kind of see it there. I folded it under, and it's sandwiched in between those layers, and I clipped it. And it is a little bit loose here, which is totally fine. You need that because the bulk of the towel needs to fit under there. And I folded it under my ironed part. I folded it under and sandwiched it in between the back and the front layer. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, sorry about that, I am going to, and if you want to move it down a little bit more and you want a little bit more up there, I mean, that's, well, I guess, you know, it doesn't hurt because it goes behind the towel anyway. All right, but it's totally up to you. But I just place it close enough, maybe about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch away or just under my stitch line. And that's my personal preference. So now I'm going to take this to the machine, and I'm going to stitch it, or top stitch it closed down the sides. And when I go over this, I'm going to back tack at the top and back tack at the bottom just to really reinforce that, because this is going to be pulled when you keep putting that towel in and out. So you really want to make sure it's tacked down. Okay, so I totally was starting to stitch, as you can see, and then I got to this point, I was like, wait a minute, I have to put my towel in. So I took my towel and I top stitched along there to keep all my pleats in place. And then I've laid it out here on my table, and this doesn't go up very much. I just kind of put it up a little bit past. I just want to make sure it's even. My folded end, and this part doesn't even reach the edge, okay? I have to move it over. I have to readjust it. It got shifted a little bit. All right, and so my bad. We're going to go from there. Once that's tucked in, you're going to fold that over. I'm going to clip it there, and now I'm going to go back. Now, if you kept watching my video and realized my mistake, you would start up here, but since I already sewed a little bit, I'm going to start right there, and then I'm going to continue down with a straight stitch. I'm going to keep my needle down and pivot, and then I'm going to sew all the way along there, keep my needle down and pivot, sew up here, back tack there, and back tack there at the end. Okay? And if you didn't notice yet, I am using the Jumbo Wonder Clips, which are amazing. And Jennifer has been really pushing them the last few weeks, and even giving great discounts on them, even last night's show. So there it is, what I've got in place. So I just wanted to shout out these Jumbo Clips. They're amazing. They're probably, like Jennifer said, my new favorite clips as well. And I got these amazing long pins in my ambassador box, and I use them so much. You can see my pin collection here. All I had were these short ones, and I love the short ones, but I didn't know what I was missing till I got my long ones. So, okay, now that that's done, I'm going to go back and sew. Alright, so now that that is done, I'm going to take this, and you can use a straight stitch again, but I'm going to use my trusty decorative stitch, and I am going to stitch about 1/4 of an inch away from my sew line here, straight down, and that's going to finish it off. Alright, so here's my finished one, and this is the front. Now, if you guys have a towel that's, I mean, you can tell that this is the back and this is the front, but I don't know how much it would bother some people. When you're sewing it, because you're taking this and just flipping it in, when I flip it in, I literally kind of do have the back of the towel, and it will be facing forward when it's in hanging position. So what I would suggest is when you sew it in from the front, because the front is where the strap is, that you have the back of the towel face up and the front of the towel face down. So right now I have the front of the towel face up and the back of the towel face down, but because this flips and goes through here, I would invert it before you sew it in if that's really going to bother you. So all you do is take the towel, put it on through, and imagine this hanging over your oven door handle or somewhere else that you would have it. And there it is. I'm going to take this and flip it. Okay, I hope that made sense. So basically this is how it would be hanging, and what you're seeing here is the back of the towel. So if you followed my advice, see, it doesn't bother me. It might bother some people, especially if the back of the towel is very prevalent. So I would just make sure to sew it down. But anyway, there it is. So cute. So I've got 3 done now. See, this one is also the back, whereas the front, and I didn't catch it till later. And this one I ended up sewing it on right somehow, but didn't realize my mistake until I got my 3rd one. So my 4th one I'll be more careful. But aren't they so cute? Oh, they're so adorable. Alright, so I have 1 more to do, and I'm gonna get that done. And again, this was 1 kit, and I got 4 tops. I kept the main fabric the same size as the pattern, but this I cut down on just to match whatever fabric I had. I cut it down, and it's not that much less wide than the original, but it is a little bit. So, but it works, and I still like the width of this as well. So, and I had extra towel. I always have these towels in my stash of sewing stuff because I like making towel stuff. So, on to my last one. Enjoy! Have fun!